Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are digging into the ultimate detective story, how human beings across literally every single discipline actually figure out what is true. We're looking at a fascinating paper that argues whether you're a physicist, a historian, a translator, or even an AI developer, you're ultimately doing the exact same thing. You are trying to rebuild a picture of reality using incomplete information. And honestly, it's a concept that completely transforms how we understand learning, discovery, and even our own everyday arguments.
Chapter 1. The Messy Kitchen Mystery.
Okay, let's just jump right in. To start, we have to ask ourselves what might be the most fundamental question of all human existence. How do we actually know when our explanation of the world is right? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But pause and really think about that for a second. When you realize that we almost never possess complete 100% access to the realities we're trying to understand, figuring out what is actually true becomes the ultimate puzzle.
Picture this. You walk into your kitchen after hearing a giant crash. You find flour all over the floor, there's an upside-down mixing bowl, and sitting right in the middle of it is one suspiciously innocent-looking dog with a white powdery nose. Now, you know for a fact that something happened, but you don't have the whole story, because you weren't there to witness it. So you're immediately forced into the role of a detective, gathering clues to rebuild an event that you couldn't directly see. Well, this brings us to a rather heavy philosophical term called epistemology. But hey, don't let the word intimidate you. It's basically just the study of how we act as detectives to piece together those clues without making things up. The source paper argues that all human knowledge is essentially this: the disciplined reconstruction of reality from incomplete information. And why disciplined? Because without discipline, we just make things up. We let our imaginations fill in the gaps instead of doing the hard work of an actual investigation. You don't start with complete knowledge, you start with clues.
Chapter 2. Reality Pushes Back.
This brings us to a really crucial distinction: invention versus reconstruction. Let's say you're putting together a jigsaw puzzle of a castle, but some of the pieces are missing. Invention is grabbing a marker and just drawing a pirate spaceship in the blank spot simply because you think it looks cool. Reconstruction, on the other hand, means respecting the actual pieces you have and their specific shapes. You can't just force pieces together that don't belong without ruining the whole picture. In the pursuit of knowledge, reality comes first. It actively grades our homework, and our ideas simply have to conform to it.
Chapter 3. The Art of Reconstruction. Think about looking at a totally flat, top-down, two-dimensional photo of a cake. From that specific, highly constrained viewpoint, you might mistakenly guess that you're looking at a pancake. And why is that? Well, a camera only captures two dimensions. The reality of the cake didn't change, but your instrument of observation was severely limited and left out the truth of its depth. The frosting on the sides, the height of the tiers, all of that is missing from your constrained channel of observation.
In the biz, we call this projection-induced ambiguity. When humans get confused, we often assume reality is chaotic, broken, or completely subjective. But actually, it usually just means we're looking at a vibrant three-dimensional world through a severely compressed two-dimensional lens. Missing information is not the same thing as non-existent information. So instead of declaring that the cake is a pancake, a good detective looks for more clues, maybe checking a side angle to reconstruct those missing dimensions.
Chapter 4. Detectives of Space and Time.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that from physicists to historians, all disciplines are really just different detectives constrained by their specific evidence channels. Let's take a look at how professional truth seekers operate. Science relies on finite instruments. Think about an astronomer using a telescope to peer into the vastness of a universe they can't possibly see all at once. They only get tiny fractions of starlight to work with. History, on the other hand, relies on surviving documents and physical artifacts. Historians are forced to piece together a past that we can no longer visit, using only the fragmented objects that managed to survive the centuries. And language? Language relies on grammar, context, and speaker intent. Words on a page are just symbols that desperately require context to decode. Every single one of these disciplines is dealing with partial information and trying to meticulously reconstruct the whole shebang.
In science, the process is incredibly direct. Imagine you theorize that a red button on a mysterious machine makes cookies. You push it, and the machine sprays you with water. Well, if you get sprayed with water, you don't draw a pirate spaceship over the machine to pretend you were right. You adapt to the constraint. You change your theory to match reality.
And here is the absolute essence of science and learning. Reality continually possesses the authority to refine our representations. It's a strict teacher with a perfect track record. It possesses ultimate veto power.
If our beautifully crafted, highly intelligent theory contradicts reality, the theory is wrong, period. We have to continually allow reality to refine our ideas.
Now flip over to history. History relies on causal continuity. Historians don't have a time machine, right? They rebuild the past using surviving effects. Imagine finding a faded photograph, a rusty key, a train ticket, and a mysterious note about Aunt Margaret in an attic treasure chest. You can't just invent a movie plot. You have to let the clues boss you around. You have to build an explanation that preserves the fragile connections between all of these surviving artifacts.
Chapter 5. Language, Faith, and AI.
Let's talk about language for a second. If your friend texts you the single word fine, that word is completely ambiguous on its own. It could mean everything is great, or actually, more likely, you have exactly 3 seconds to apologize before I completely lose my mind. You cannot reconstruct the true meaning without the relational context, like, say, if they just caught you eating their very last cookie. The words alone are incomplete clues. The context provides the rest of the puzzle pieces.
And you know, theology actually works the exact same way. The paper argues that theology uses constrained human channels, like scripture and historical tradition, to communicate divine reality. Theology isn't about inventing a divine reality out of thin air, it works through constrained channels. It's exactly like Leonard Cohen famously said, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We receive the clues given through those cracks and carefully reconstruct their meaning without losing the key.
And yes, even artificial intelligence is bound by these exact same rules. When an AI hallucinates, it happens because it's generating fluent, super-confident responses that have completely lost their connection to the underlying reality. It is literally drawing that pirate spaceship on the puzzle. For AI to be trustworthy, it has to maintain what the paper calls inferential lineage. Now, inferential lineage simply means showing your work. It means keeping a direct, unbroken line from the raw evidence directly to your conclusion, without any pirate spaceships sneaking in along the way.
Chapter 6. The Ultimate Puzzle.
So when we zoom all the way out, a massive, unified theory emerges. Whether you are an AI model processing millions of data points, a scientist running an experiment, a historian dusting off a manuscript, or a theologian reading an ancient text, you are bound by the exact same rule. This framework connects disciplines that we normally think of as complete opposites, proving that human inquiry is just one giant, shared endeavor. We all start with limited information, and we all must ultimately submit to reality's constraints to find the truth.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, let it be this. We don't make reality, we discover it. Our greatest, most powerful explanations in any field are the ones that preserve the clues without cheating and without trimming the puzzle pieces to fit our preferred picture.
So the next time you encounter a messy kitchen, a confusing text message, or a really complex scientific theory, ask yourself, are you respecting the clues reality provided, or are you just drawing a pirate spaceship because the truth is too hard to piece together? Reality is waiting to be discovered. The only question is, what kind of detective are you going to be?